In South Dakota, the state government launched a massive legislative effort to regulate the private medical decisions and personal expressions of its own citizens. Governor Kristi Noem signed a flurry of bills to execute that agenda. In 2022, she signed a trans athlete ban. In 2023, House Bill 1080 criminalized gender-affirming medical care for minors. She ordered preferred pronouns wiped from university handbooks and cut state ties with a nonprofit supporting trans youth. This policy crusade functioned as a highly effective culture war resume. Donald Trump rewarded that record with a federal appointment, naming Noem his Secretary of Homeland Security in 2025. Her entire national profile relied on the premise that strict, state-mandated enforcement of gender norms was a public emergency requiring immediate government intervention. Then, in April 2026, journalist Andrew Callaghan sat down with a webcam model named Lydia Love. She went on the record with a story that punctured that carefully crafted public narrative. The central contradiction involved Noem's husband, Bryon. While the governor campaigned against gender exploration, reporting says Bryon was a recurring, paying client of Lydia Love, paying $25 a minute to be told he was a girl and a bimbo. Love explained she chose to come forward because of the glaring dissonance. She watched a governor punish transgender youth, while the husband of that same politician was paying for a feminization and cross-dressing fantasy on camera. When public policy deliberately punishes the same behavior a lawmaker's household explores in private, it reveals a specific political mechanism at work. To understand the policy impact, we must distinguish the terms. Fetishistic cross-dressing is a private kink practice distinct from a transgender identity. Inside the governor's home, a wealthy adult explored gender presentation safely. Outside, South Dakota's youth face state punishment for exploring theirs. The issue here is not Bryon Noem's personal interests. The issue is that the conservative ideal of keeping private life private functions as an exclusive privilege for the powerful, while the state criminalizes that same behavior for everyone else. This contradiction is not an outlier. It is a well-documented historical strategy where public noise is used to obscure private reality. Senator Larry Craig spent his career in Congress voting down gay rights before being arrested for soliciting an undercover officer in an airport bathroom. Congressman Aaron Schock voted against repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, then later headlined gay Republican fundraisers. Representative Matt Gaetz built his profile calling LGBTQ Americans degenerate and trying to legislate drag out of public life. He resigned from Congress in 2024, ahead of an ethics report detailing allegations of sex trafficking. Political theorists call this projection. It involves loudly assigning your own forbidden behaviors to an outgroup. When the rhetoric is loud enough, the public begins to view the politician as the exact opposite of what they do in private. The strategy works because the cruelty itself becomes the credential. A politician who constantly warns the public about grooming is rarely audited for their private behavior. Donald Trump ultimately removed Kristi Noem from Homeland Security in 2026. That dismissal happened because of a disastrous congressional hearing, rather than the contradictions surfacing inside her home. The moral argument for Noem's legislation was built on a foundation that her own household ignored. Yet the laws she signed remain actively enforced on the books. Transgender youth in South Dakota still cannot legally access gender-affirming care. Drag shows are still banned. Public universities remain scrubbed of pronouns, and local support networks are still recovering from the financial damage of state attacks. Those kids did not lose their medication because the medical science changed. They lost it because a politician needed a specific cultural record to build a national resume. The progressive argument here is straightforward. Public officials should not build policies to legally scapegoat the very people they refuse to scapegoat in their own private lives. These recurring scandals suggest a movement governed less by shared moral values and more by a system of selective enforcement. This creates a permission structure where insiders are granted safety and privacy, while outsiders and marginalized youth are transformed into disposable material for political rallies. The leaked audio from the Noem household functions as an X-ray of this strategy. It shows how extreme public cruelty can exist alongside the very behaviors it condemns, with the former providing an effective shield for the latter.